There is a chair here for you if you like, Varshaji. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Is bhakti essential for spiritual practice or Vedantic study? Can it develop after studying Vedanta? As they say, no bhakti, no mukti. Mukti, liberation, connected to very much bhakti. We have to understand what this is all about. First, when you say bhakti, then we have to see how it opens the heart. The heart is tightly closed, like a lotus bud, and then the sunlight of Vedanta knowledge opens the lotus. In the presence of the sun, the lotus opens, and at sunset it closes back. Only the opening part is the example. We don't have to take the closing back. So, the heart of a person, any given person, is waiting to trust again. After so many disappointments in life, after so many difficulties, it's waiting to trust again. It's waiting to regain its composure after so many disenchantments. And it needs to take that leap, what is called leap of faith. And learn to trust again. That is what is needed for Vedanta study. Whether that comes through bhakti or any other way, this needs to happen. The heart has to open. Bhakti is the easiest way to open the heart. Very, very, very easy way to open the heart is through bhakti. Now, one may think that bhakti, for some people, bhakti comes naturally. Somehow they are already wired for bhakti. And for other people, certain other people, one has to try. One has to try, and as they say, fake it and make it. You're not really faking it, but one has to try. Whether because it's an alien concept, or whether because there is some accounts that need to be settled, whether because of some other reasons, bhakti, devotion does not come easily. Sometimes it's also because of, what is that called? Too many disappointments and not understanding the connection between why should I worship this concept of God, what is this God, why I have to worship this God in order to gain liberation from samsara. This understanding doesn't come very easily. But the simple reason it is needed, one is it's needed to open the heart. The second reason bhakti is needed is because the subject matter of Vedanta is what? Ishvara, correct? The subject matter of Vedanta is to know Ishvara as non-separate from myself. How will you know this Ishvara as non-separate from oneself if one is under the spell of the laws of Ishvara and one is constantly being beleaguered by all kinds of situations and things? So the same Ishvara I have to know as myself. And who is this same Ishvara? The one that is giving my neighbor nice things. The one that's giving my co-worker promotion. When what? I deserve it. But the co-worker is getting promotion. The neighbor is getting rich. I had prayed for the money. Neighbor getting rich. Co-worker getting promotion. Somebody else getting something else that I wanted. And so one's life is on the one hand, Ishvara is the target of my disappointments, my distrust, my fears, my lack, and my inability to move in samsara gracefully. And this same Ishvara I have to know as the truth of myself. Do you see the difficulty there? Because the one I am not trusting, I have to know as the truth of myself. How is that possible? Because this Ishvara who is out to get me and who has a lot of people who are his favorites, her favorites, I am obviously not one of them. And then how am I going to be motivated to know this Ishvara as the truth of myself? I will not be motivated because there is no trust. And this distrust has to be converted to trust, because this distrust is a superimposition upon the nature of the I. In fact, one is trusting. Trust is there. There is no reason for trust not to be there unless it has been eroded by some experiences. So therefore, the loss of trust that happened because of the omissions and commissions of the primary caregivers, the mother and the father, has to be recognized, and that trust one has to dare to trust again by trusting, learning to relate to the parents of the universe. This is the journey. In fact, it is a sadhana to prepare one for knowledge. And when that trust comes, because you see, the thing is, there are many people in the world that disappoint. There are many people in the world with whom there are issues. So the same issues with the primary caregivers generally gets projected onto the entire universe of people. There is distrust, there is fear, there is authority issues, there are allergies of various kinds and all these things, and they get broadcast on everybody else. So if you spend enough time with any person, you will not get along with them. Yeah. The reason you get along with a few people is because we don't spend that much time with them. You start living with them night and day, you'll say, okay, out of my hair, out of my life, go away. Even the best friend, it'll be too much. And so here, so that means what? An average person has issues with everyone before the study of Vedanta. And if you say there are no issues, just spend a few more days with that person, issues will come. No issue on that, issue will come. And so therefore what to do? So therefore you have to settle accounts with each and every person in order to be of a trusting temperament again, because this is a pramana based knowledge where you have to trust the pramana. If you can't trust anything and anybody, how are you going to trust the pramana that is coming from outside of the scope of the five senses to deliver the vision of no division? Not possible. So therefore the trust must be cultivated, and so what to do. So every person you cannot settle accounts with. 8 billion people, and then animals. And then people have issues with even nature. One person came to the ashram once in America and said, I'm very, very stressed. And then it was a lovely summer day in the ashram, very nice, cool breeze, and it was just a wonderful day. So I said, just, do some nice things for yourself. I said, you can just lie on the grass here. It's so green and soft. You can walk on the grass barefoot and all the stress will go. Be outside. And then she said, I hate grass and I hate trees. Yeah. Nothing more to say. So, one has issues with people, we know, but then if you have issues with plants, trees, grass. I said, are you allergic? She said, not particularly. I never found out if I'm allergic or not because I'm not around grass. I hate grass. I hate trees too. Because if you lie down and look, and then what do you see? Trees. And so I don't want to be around trees and grass. And so I rested my case. There's nothing more to say. But so therefore, you can't go and settle the accounts. Settle accounts means make peace with each and every incarnation in the universe. It's just not possible. We all have to do what baby Ganesha did. What did baby Ganesha do to get the mango? Encircled his own parents 3 times, much to the chagrin of his brother. Baby Ganesha was clever. He said, I am supposed to make 3 rounds of the entire universe. And he looked at himself, Yeah, quite portly, aren't we? And then what else? Then he looked at the car. What was his car? His car was a mouse. And then he looked at that, and the mouse was pleading, please don't do this, don't do this. The mouse was also praying to the parents of the universe, don't let him do this. There is no chiropractor that can fix me after he goes 3 rounds in the universe. The mouse's prayers were first answered. Why? Because the Lord Ganesha, very clever he is, he got this idea. What is the source of the universe? My own parents are the parents of the whole universe. So if you encircle the source, the cause, you have encircled the effect. You see? Why deal with the effect? The effect is changing, the effect is many in nature, the effect is ephemeral, the effect is, has got so many problems. Go to the source, go to the cause. That's what baby Ganesha did. We should all be like baby Ganesha. Go to the cause of the unrest in the heart. Go to the cause of the distrust. And what is the cause of the distrust? Ishvara. That is the cause. Go to the source of the universe. You can't really say, I don't like this one, let me see why, and let me make peace with this one. I treated the other one badly, let me see why, let me see what to do. Then no amount of lifetimes will be enough for this kind of a process. You have to shortcut. You have to see that this is not a possibility. And you don't even have a mouse. Okay? And so you are worse off than Lord Ganesha. So then you can't really settle accounts with the entire universe. And so you have to go to the source of the universe and settle accounts with Ishvara. Settling accounts with Ishvara is bhakti, and what that means is coming to a sense of acceptance of all the things that cannot be changed. This is not fatalism. I'm not saying you have to not change things which you can. You should not change things which you can change. Whatever you can change, please change. But there are certain things you cannot change. So either you can rave, rant and cry till the end of the world, or you can adjust your own vision. The only thing you can change is your attitude. So you come to a place of acceptance of your own background, your own parentage, all the things that were in your life, how it was led, all the regrets, all the fears, everything, you have to come to terms with. How are you going to do that without any help? Where is the place to put these pains and sorrows? Don't say significant other. Because if you start telling all these things to the significant other, the word significant will become silent, there will only be other. Okay? That's what will happen. Everybody will run away. Because nobody can handle this. That's what happened in the churning of the ocean. The churning of the ocean is a metaphor of exactly what we are talking about. The ocean is the unconscious mind, and then there are two forces churning it, trying to see what's in there. Inimical forces, Danavas, Asuras, Rakshasas, and then Sattvic forces, Devas. And then what? First before, and then the self-knowledge comes at the end with the healer Devata, Dhanvantari. And before Amrita, the knowledge of Amrita, oneself as immortal comes, the collective unconscious gets spat up in the form of Halahala Visha, a toxin that is so powerful, so terrible, and nobody could neutralize it on earth. And even the poisonous snake, the mouth of which the asuras were tricked into holding. And every few minutes or so, 2-3 asuras, because of the toxic flames coming from the snake's mouth, would faint and had to be revived. When Hala came, Vasuki, the snake itself, fainted and had to be revived. You can think of how toxic it was. Lord Shiva took it, the story goes, and swallowed it so that one, because people prayed for to be relieved from its toxic fumes, and nobody could handle it. Lord Shiva, the story goes, it's all an allegory. Swallowed it, took it in so that one doesn't have to deal with it. So surrendering here on the 13th day of every, what is that called, Paksha, fortnight, there is a puja, we see it in the temple also, it's called Pradosha. Dosha means evening. Pradosha, special evening, that's the time that this happened. So that is the time to let go of every toxin that I have been exposed to. Nobody else can handle it. I can let it go at the altar of surrender, however I want to define that altar. That altar of surrender becomes my redemption, and I can be trusting again, because it takes away the pains, it takes away the sorrows. It's like super therapy. It's really like super therapy, because in therapy also same thing happens. Two things happen. One is you get a little space from the issues that you are working on, number one. And the second thing that happens is that you know you are not those issues. And you know this is due to my background, this is due to the father, this is due to the mother. One learns to delineate those issues. But still the heart is not at rest, because I don't get much out of thinking, okay, this is the mother's fault, this is the father's fault, all right, so big deal. What am I going to do with that? There is there must be some other place to go. I can't just stop at saying this is because of mother, this is because of father, whole life I'm saying that. That doesn't make any sense. Who is the one that made the mother the way the mother is or was? Who is the one that made the father the way the father is or was? What is that order that made me the way I am? That is what has to be made peace with. And so therefore the altar of surrender, when I lay my head there and when I am able to address these issues, whatever I cannot accept, I put it there. And then I slowly come into a place of acceptance, and that is bhakti. Learning to work with that is bhakti. It's not just chanting something. That is also an expression of bhakti, but real bhakti is basically learning to settle accounts with Ishvara. Settle accounts of all the universe with Ishvara. I dare to trust again, even though my trust has been repeatedly broken, and in so doing, I am instantly rewarded with self-growth. It is just so amazing. Because if I am a trusting person, that means I have grown. I am no longer in the shadows of my own fear. It is very beautiful. And why should I become a trusting person again? Because I have to trust the pramana that tells me that you are non-separate from Bhagavan. Otherwise, how will the vision be delivered if I am looking upon that very vision which is going to redeem me as the source of distrust? They say that a drowning person will grab on to anything that another person is offering. It could be a rope, it could be a straw. That is, that much trust the drowning person has because of the desperation. The drowning person will catch hold of even a straw. So here the pramana is not a straw, the pramana is not a raft, the pramana is actually that which tells you you are not drowning. That is the pramana. And that vision I have to wholeheartedly let it enter the heart. And then only the transformation can happen. Therefore, we say, no bhakti, no mukti. And then the second part of the question, what was that? Can there be bhakti after Vedanta study? Yes, because in Vedanta study only many times one knows the need, why the bhakti needs to be there, one knows. So it is appropriate for the bhakti to be cultivated along with the Vedanta study, or even as one is studying or after one studies. So the next one, in the midst of Vedanta study, this thought came to my mind. How do you decide wisely whether to spend more time on career, progress, or spiritual growth? Please guide my confused mind. Can be chosen? Can we choose between duty, self-preference, like raga, dvesha? I think the question is trying to say that is it chosen, is the choice between duty and self-preference like raga and dvesha, based on raga, dvesha? Very good question. So the thought came to the mind. What did the thought come? How to wisely decide whether to spend more time on the progress of career or spiritual growth. First of all, the two are not at odds. They are not at odds. We think they are at odds. They are not at odds. This knowledge will help you in your career and spiritual growth. Definitely. It's not at odds with anything. Vedanta is not fighting with anybody or anything. This is what the grand guru of Adi Shankara tells us in the Mandukya Upanishad Karika. All the vadas, all the contentions, all the notions, all the philosophies, they just keep fighting with one another. Dishum, dishum, dishum. They are fighting with one another, and the Vedantin is sitting in the audience happily eating popcorn. Not engaging in anything. We are not opposed to anything. We can accommodate all points of view provided we know what it is, because all points of view are valid as long as you don't confuse them for the view. All points of view culminate in the view, and that view is you are non-separate from the whole. It's a fact. It's what you want to be. It's what you already are. And so this being the case, Vedanta is not opposed to career and spiritual career. Vedanta is not opposed to spiritual growth. And so therefore what I would suggest is you focus on both. You focus on your growth and you focus on your career. And these days what? You can get everything online. You can have it all, really. You can get it all online, and the gurus can come into your living room, and you can have a, what is that called? It is in real life, in Vyavaharika life, it is called Gurukulam, and then in virtual life it's called Zoom Kulam. Yes, Zoom Kulam. So in Zoom Kulam, you will have not just a teacher, but not only the teacher is there, but other people are also taking the classes. So you don't feel that crazy. You say, okay, all these other people, the size of postage stamps are there, over there. And at least, if I am crazy, these people are also bonkers. Okay, good. I'm in good company. You don't feel alone. And you can study. And I was just talking to a person who is visiting the ashram now, and she has a full-time job. Okay, she works full-time, and she takes care of her elderly father who is in his mid-80s, and she studies for she listens to 3 lectures a day, just like we do here. Okay? Yeah, she listens. She listens to 3 lectures a day in spite of doing all this. So if she can do that, everybody can do that. There is no conflict. She is a school teacher. She loves her job. She loves the children she is around. Great person. And morning, she will catch this meditation in the morning, and then she will catch another class some other time after she comes back, and before she goes to sleep or in the evening, after her duties are done, she will catch another class and then go to sleep. And this is like an ideal situation. But even if you can do Shravanam for 1 hour a day, that itself is wonderful. No, I can't do Shravanam for 1 hour a day. Do Shravanam for 1 hour a day 3 times a week. 1 hour 3 times a week. No, even that is too much. Do Shravanam for 2 times a week. 1 hour 2 times a week. No, that is too much. Do Shravanam once a week. No, that is, if that is too much, don't do Shravanam at all. Yeah, because it's of no use if you do it. Kabhi kabhi mere dil mein Vedant ka khayal aata hai. There is one song, Yeah. And so you can't, you have to have a certain regularity. It means carrying on a kind of a discipline which is going to help you, a routine. Having a routine, having a discipline, having a kind of a, what's its name? A wonderful, joyous practice. A joyous practice. Nothing should feel like a chore. It should all be joyous, because why? Ultimately, who chose it? You have chosen it. Nobody came and sat on your head and said, you have to do this. No. You choose it and you follow that, and it is very, very rewarding. So there need not be a conflict between your career or doing your duties and the spiritual growth. In fact, both are synergistically connected, because the career helps you grow. The career becomes a place of growth, because you're not in the career. Why? You're not in the career for karma phala, promotion and merit increase and all. If it's supposed to happen, let it happen. But I am there for my growth. So each time somebody says something or somebody does something, there is a skirmish, you grow. This is wonderful. So with the career you grow, and then at home, whatever duties there are, whatever you do, again there is a place of, clashes, skirmishes. There also you let the skirmishes go and you grow. And then in the worldly life, whatever you do helps you grow, and then it helps you to understand the Shravanam that you are doing. This is wonderful. It is not opposed to each other. Vedanta and married life, Vedanta and your career, job, not opposed to one another. Here, for 3 months, you get a boost. That's how it is. You get a nice boost. What are the most important Upanishads that the beginner student needs to know? Comment a little on each of them, and if there is a recommended order to follow. And then then I have never met an Upanishad that wasn't important. They are all having Mahavakyas, so all of them are important. But the tradition has set forth 10 of them. And then if you take into account Adi Shankara's quotation and the Brahma Sutra also, I would say 11. Okay? 10 Upanishads which are made into a verse so that you can remember. Isha kena katha prashnaha mundaka mandukya tittirihi aitareyancha chandogyam brihadaranykas tatha. This is the thing. So you saw Ishavasya Upanishad, Isha Upanishad, Isha kena katha prashna. Kathopanishad, Prashnopanishad, Mundaka, Mandukya, Taittariya, and Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka. These 10 are chosen because Adi Shankara chose to write commentary on all of them. And even out of the 10, the whole Brihadaranyaka and the whole Chandogya are not studied. Only certain parts, which is the knowledge parts of those Upanishads, are studied. And then, so everything is not studied. By the time you study 3 or 4 Upanishads with Bhashya, you get the idea of how to study the rest of them. 3 or 4 you definitely need under the belt, because there is a certain way of Bhashya study, there is a certain way of doing the analysis, and first the verse has to be explained, the verse or the mantra, and then the analysis, and the analysis is itself so sophisticated that itself requires a context and explanation, and so therefore you understand, you get into the mind of Adi Shankara, who is not the Sampradaya Krit, who did not start this tradition, but he is what? Sampradaya Vit. He definitely knows this tradition as the back of his hand, and his analysis is very, very, very beautiful and tight. So we studied 4 or 5 Upanishads, and then we get the hang of how to do this, because by the time you get into the vocabulary, you know a little more Sanskrit, and then you enjoy analyzing the Bhashya, and then when you are confronted with the Bhashya of the 6th or the 7th Upanishad, you already know, you have a very fairly good idea of how to go about this. It's very, very nice. And so, Mundaka is taught first, even though the thing begins with Ishavasya Upanishad. Mundaka is taught first because it is a complete Upanishad in terms of Anubandha Chatushtaya. Who is the audience? Who is the Adhikari? What is the Vishaya? What is the topic? And what is the Prayojana? What will I get out of studying this? And what is the connection between the Adhikari and the Prayojana? So the Prayojana is moksha. Then what is the connection between the book and the Prayojana? What is the connection? What is the Sambandha? Pratipadya Pratipadika Sambandha. The book reveals the truth, and that truth is myself alone. That is the Prayojana, like this. So it has it's very neatly presented. It has an introduction, it has a conclusion, and it has all these chapters which make it very easy to teach. So then Mundakopanishad I don't need to say much about because we are discovering it every day. Then Kathopanishad is what comes next. But since we are doing it in the next course, that's why here, when there is some time, what am I teaching? Kenopanishad. And it's a testament to your preparedness that Swamiji suggested that I teach Kenopanishad. I went to him to ask what to teach. I said, Amrita Bindu is finished. What shall we teach next? And he said, Kenopanishad. It's not an easy Upanishad, as we are seeing, to unfold. So then Kenopanishad is very much, all of them have Tvam-pada and Tat-pada. Some of them have more emphasis on Tvam-pada, like the Kenopanishad. Kathopanishad is taught in the beginning and Mundakopanishad because they have stories. And it's easy to relate to the story. I want to know what Nachiketa is doing now. I want to know where is Yama. Oh, good, he's far away from me. Okay, good. So, like this, I want to engage in the stories in the beginning, and then as the Upanishads, get more nuanced, you don't need the story. Kenopanishad, what story? No story. That will come later. Story will come later as a reward for understanding these tough things. What is that? Shrotrasya shrotram manaso mano yat, etc. Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate. Yasya matam tasya matam matam yasya navedasaha. One who knows doesn't know, the one who doesn't know knows. All these things, yeah. So the reward for understanding all that and sitting through all that, you get a nice story. In the third section, there is a nice story. So then, the Chandogya and the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad are similar in the sense both of them are huge and unwieldy, having many chapters. They differ only in that in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the first few chapters are Vedanta and the rest of the chapters are Upasana. Upasana means the meditative practices to gain an understanding and assimilation of what was here. That is what is Upasana. And then in the Chandogya Upanishad, the first 5 chapters are what? Upasana. 6th, 7th and 8th have the teaching. That's the only difference. So they are similar in the layout of having lots of Upasana and also knowledge. And then Ishavasya Upanishad has really to be studied with the teacher because it's very confusing. Sometimes meditation is called Vidya. Sometimes Vidya is called Vidya. Sometimes horror of horrors, Avidya is called Vidya. So it's very confusing. It has to be taught properly and one has to understand. And many teachers don't teach it for this reason. And even if they teach it, they will teach the first 2 verses, which are the thesis statement and which contain the purport of the entire Upanishad. So Chandogya also has very beautiful stories. 6th chapter has a nice story, 7th chapter has a beautiful story, 8th chapter has a lovely story, very nice stories there. And Brihadaranyaka also nice stories. You have the story of the Ashwins and sage Dadhichi. So the Ashwin twins, the assistants of Dhanvantri, the healer Devata, go to Dadhichi and say, please teach me. Dadhichi says, why are you zipping? What happened? Why are you in Maunam? Shh. Why? What happened? And he whispers, Indra will come and cut off my head if I give you this knowledge. What? Why will he cut off your head? Because he's very jealous and he told me not to teach anybody else this. Because he wants to be Indra forever. And this is the knowledge of immortality. Ashwins are what? Doctors. They are surgeons, the first surgeons. They said, we have this in our bag, don't worry. We'll cut off your head right now. And Dadhichi said, what has this world come to? The previous student, very, very crazy, and the new students that are come are equally full bloodthirsty. Why am I losing my head? They said, no, 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 that's not what we meant. Look here, we have an ice chest. Okay, we are going to cut your head off right now, and we are going to put it in the ice chest and keep it on ice. Okay, paramedic chest we have. And then we are going to get the head of a horse and put it on you. And then you teach. And then what will happen? Indra will see, oh, he's teaching. He's not supposed to be teaching. And he will take his vajra, the diamond knife, diamond sword, and then come, and then what will he do? Cut off your head again. Okay? And what head will he cut off? Horse's head. He won't cut off, he won't cut off your real head. That we have nicely cut off, keeping all the veins and everything intact. We know how to sew it back on. If he cuts, we will not know how to sew it back on. So we'll cut off your head. You teach fully, and then when he cuts off the horse's head, we will do the first head transplant surgery in history. Such stories are there. Okay? And then that is the Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka we did, Kenopanishad we have done, Kathopanishad, dialogue between Nachiketa and Lord Yama, highlighting Nachiketa's Vairagya. Ishavasya, don't even talk about it for the reasons. Prashnopanishad is interesting. 6 questions by 6 students, one each, is asked in a satsang by the teacher. We don't know the names. Oh, we do know the names here. The name of the teacher is Pippalada, and each student has a name, and then they will ask the questions. 6 questions about life, death, and ways of being. All these comprise the Prashnopanishad. What else is left? Mandukya. Mandukya we have made a lot of reference to. No story there. Short Upanishad, but has a long Karika, which is a commentary. And in the tradition, the Karika is read along with the Upanishad. So we study the Karika also. So that is the list of Taittiriya. Aitareya. Aitareya is again a very beautiful Upanishad. And it is also about the Ishvara, the origin of the cosmology of life and everything. And there is a very interesting thing in there. It says among those who are doing Shravanam, those who are pregnant, please leave the room, because the mantras that are chanted are not good for the baby. Very interesting. And then it makes us see that women were very much part of this tradition as listeners, teachers, etc. And then Taittiriya Upanishad has 3 vallis or chapters, very beautiful. Again, no story, but then the first chapter is all about preparation, starting with one's own pronunciation, chanting, etc. And then and various upasanas, practices that one has to do for self-growth. The second chapter is the unfoldment of the statement Satyam Jnanam Anantam. That is the second chapter. The third chapter is talking about the Tatastha Lakshana of Brahman. The second chapter is the Swarupa Lakshana. The third chapter talks about Tatastha Lakshana, means what? The Brahman as Ishvara, creator. So, and how to know Brahman, how to analyze Ananda, what is Ananda, that is what is Taittiriya Upanishad. Okay.
How many Upanishads exist?
We don't even know. Yeah, we don't know how many exist. And then of those that are existent, there is 108 group, and there are a lot of later interpolations also, but we don't mind. And then in this 108, whatever is studied is one is sound if one studies that. So the 108 have been compiled, called Muktikadi Upanishad, Muktika Upanishad, etc. Then last one, I have understood that I commit errors only when I am forgetful of the fact that I am Brahman and not the doer or the enjoyer, neither doer nor hurt. How to get rid of the forgetfulness and maintain Brahmanishta 24/7 for the rest of my life? Eternal vigilance is the guarantee of freedom. This requires nididhyasana. It's not that you don't, it's not forgetfulness, it's habit. As I said, knowledge of Brahman is not centered on on your memory. If Brahman is dependent on your memory, then which is limitless, Brahman or your memory? You know that memory is not limitless, and so therefore Brahman must be limitless. But then if Brahman is limitless, then if it is dependent on your memory, anantya hani takes place. Limitlessness gets affected. And so therefore Brahman cannot ride on anything, including your memory. So therefore what to do? Therefore we have to understand the following. We have to see that it's not about forgetfulness, it's habit. Supposing you have a house, supposing you turn the key and enter the house, the light switch is on the right side. That's what you know from so many years. And then what happens? One day there is you decide to remodel the house or the living room, and then that includes a lot of electrical work, and the electrician puts the switch on the left side. So the first few days what will you do? You will grope in the dark. Did you forget? No. It's a habit. You very well know. It's not that you don't know. You know that you yourself paid for this, you got this commissioned and you agreed to it, and now the light switches are on the left side. You know this very well. It's not the lack of knowledge. It's not even forgetting. It appears like forgetting, but what it is a habit. It's a habitual orientation to open the lock and then go on the right side. So after a certain adjustment you have to do to go on the left. So similarly here you have to revel and dwell and revel in words of the Shastra that you already know. Bringing that back to mind again and again, seeing the beauty, seeing the meaning of those words as pointing to yourself is the key. Done. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityor Ma. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Guru